Welcome back to the Student Cooking Guide. Today we're going to be making one of my favourite pork dishes, carnitas. Traditionally, the pork is placed in a vat of lard and then cooked over a long period of time. However, we can emulate this dish quite convincingly by using a method developed by Chef John of Food Wishes. This is a great dish to cook for housemates or large group of people, as you can make a lot of it very easily. For the written recipe and all the ingredients we've used, check the description below. Right, so obviously as this is a pork dish, we're going to go with some pork leg. You're going to want to choose any large roasting joint of pork. However, generally I would recommend using shoulder. It's just that the supermarket we went to didn't have any. Try to pick one which has a high fat content. Right, we're going to start off by removing the skin. Now while this might seem a bit intimidating, it is actually pretty easy. As you can see, there's three distinct areas of the pork. On the top we have the skin, then just under that is the fat cap, and then below that is the meat. So we're going to want to remove all of the skin while keeping some of the fat and all of the meat. To do this, make a small incision underneath the skin at one of the corners of the meat. We're then going to pull the skin up and you should see a natural separation between the skin and the meat. We're then going to cut along this until the skin is removed. With the skin, you can either discard it or make pork crackling. Then you're going to want to cut up the pork into large chunks. These will shrink quite a bit while cooking, so make them bigger than you think. Then we're going to take some peel from an orange, however this could be a lemon or a lime or whatever you want really, making sure not to get much of the pith, which is the white part underneath the peel, which can produce some bad off flavors. We're then going to place the pork into a roasting tray. Now in our case, as we're making quite a small portion, we're going to use a small clay dish. However, in the past with a large shoulder joint, I've used a big lasagna dish, which works very well. Then we're going to place in a quartered up onion, just roughly chopped, followed by the orange peels as well as the juice. Then we're going to put in some crushed up garlic, followed by all of our spices, which is going to be cayenne pepper, cumin, some ground ginger, as well as a cinnamon stick. And of course you can use just ground cinnamon. Then for heat, we're going to put in some chipotle chili flakes. Then finally, we're still going to need some lard. However, this is far less than you would need if you did it the traditional way, which makes this method so good. Then just simply mix it up either with your hands or with some tongs until everything is evenly distributed. Also not forgetting to add salt and pepper like us, and quickly adding it in at this stage. This is then going to get covered either with the lid or some foil and placed into a 135-degree oven for around 2 to 2.5 hours. You're cooking it this long and at this low temperature because you want the pork to render out all of its fat so it can then cook within it. After the 2 hours is complete, it should look something like this. You can test if it's done by sticking it with a fork. It should have some slight give, but be easy to separate. The carnitas can be done right now. However, if you want them to be more crispy, you can place them under a grill or pan fry them in some lard. This is a great technique for when you want to reheat them the next day. So all that's left now to do is to put them on some homemade tortillas with those slow roasted onions and the homemade salsa which we made previously. And if you like, you can even put some green soap on it as well, also known as coriander or cilantro. And there we are, we're done. This is a great meal as it's so easy to prepare. You just simply put everything into a dish and cook it for 2 hours. Now while that does take a long time, it is completely hands off and makes great leftovers. I would highly recommend making more than you need for one portion. I'd then separate the meat and the strained roasting juices, which will solidify in the fridge. You can then use a dollop of the flavoured lard to reheat the carnitas in a pan, which will taste just as good as having it freshly made. So that's it. Thanks for watching the Student Cooking Guide. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Be sure to like, comment, favourite and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.